The poem I'm about to read is a poem I wrote feeling like what it felt like to essentially feel like I was in competition with my mom. Now, I go over this in another video where I talk about how I learned that we weren't in we were in competition, but it was because of reactive abuse. And now I'm going to read this poem. My mother never called me pretty. So whenever I looked in the mirror, I would list all the things I had learned to hate about myself. My mother never called me pretty, but she did tell me to take my meds so I wouldn't gain any weight. Only to be viewed as an object, never to be known. My mother never called me pretty. To garner control, I decided to try my hand at math. Once the calculator booted up in my brain, the numbers never stopped. My mother never called me pretty, but she would make jokes. He's out of your league. What does he see in you? I guess God forgot to grant me humor when I'm the butt of the joke. My mother never called me pretty. I learned to shrink and change myself. To receive the nutrition I required, only to be met by light drizzles from predators who sought out the wayward and broken egos. My mother never called me pretty. So I learned to love myself enough that I've since forgotten the ache of my mother never calling me pretty. Now I want to go over a couple of things in this poem. Obviously, the first line, so I learned to list all the things I hated about myself. I did. When I'd look in the mirror, and for years, until I'd worked on it, I would list all the things that I did not like about me. It fucked with my self-esteem. To take my meds so I wouldn't gain any weight, I have ADHD, so I take Adderall. I took Consider. I tried a couple of different ones, but they all do the same thing, which is you're not hungry. I hated my meds back then because I felt like a zombie because I was on such high doses that it just drowned out my personality, which I didn't like. I still take my meds now because I do need them to focus, in fact, and get things done, but I take a very low dose. So I still get to keep what I like about myself, but I am productive. Only to be viewed as an object, never to be known. I felt like people would only want me or love me if I was beautiful, or if I had a full face of makeup, or if I was done up. I don't feel that way anymore. I've since worked on that a lot. And is it a work in progress? Absolutely. It's just how I felt at the time. The calculators in my brain once they started, the numbers never stopped. I struggled with anorexia for 3 years. It was a vicious cycle because if it wasn't anorexia, it was binging, and if it wasn't binging, it was purging. So I would starve, then I'd binge, and then I'd throw up because I was so guilty. And my sister will tell you, but I struggled from I think it was age 11 all the way up till age 15 with anorexia, binging, and bulimia. The anorexia part didn't last as long as the binging and purging did, but it did for a very long time. Whew. Yeah. She would often, and I don't know if she was joking or what, but she would tell me, my boyfriends were out of my league. And it did, affect my self-esteem. I dated this guy named Blake, right? And he was this adorable sweetheart, and he lived, he would drive an hour to come see me. He was a sweetie pie. God love Blake. Well, we're not together anymore, obviously, because I dated Satan himself, but, I dated and married Satan. But, she told me he was out of my league, and that really with me, that messed with how I felt, and I just didn't find it funny. It's that one thing where oh, it's just a joke, blah, 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 but it was a joke. And, I learned to shrink and change myself. I felt like I had to fit myself into a box to be loved. I had to change and shape who I was so I could get the nutrition I receive. Now, that's clearly not true. And the light drizzles from predators. So I was literally trained to fawn and change and shape myself into what a predator would want. And because I was so desperate for love and validation, groomers, narcissists, and people like that gravitated towards me. Not only because I'm a very creative person. I'm creative, and I'm bubbly, and I'm loud, and I do have this childlike innocence about me. But I'm more layered than that now, Back then, I did not have the knowledge that I do now on it. or the life experience. But back then, I was like a beacon, you know? And then I ended it with, my mother never called me pretty, so I learned to love myself enough that I've forgotten the ache. I have done so much work on myself when it comes to self-confidence and healing from eating disorders and just all of that. I'm, like, for most part, it's like that song from Paramore. I'm not angry anymore, but sometimes I am. For the most part, I'm not angry anymore. I'm not upset about what happened to me for the most days. I'm fine, and I can see because I look on the positive aspects of everything I went through, and that's why I am okay. I'm okay. Like, did I get consistently groomed growing up? Absolutely. Am I a survivor of sexual assault? Absolutely. Did I survive a narcissistic marriage? Yes. Did I survive a lot of childhood trauma? Yes. Did I survive physical abuse? Yes. Did I have parents that weren't always able to be there and were emotionally distant and neglectful because of their own stuff they had going on? Also, yes. But I can realize they did the best they could. They did love me, you know, in their own way, and they did do their best. And their best is a lot better. My mom's a lot better now. You know, she's went to therapy. She's changed. And I'm grateful for that. And I get to have a different relationship with her, especially since I've seen that she was reacting to her own abuse from Super Mr. Evil Guy. And my dad, I will always hold a little, like, 5%, 10% part of me that doesn't want to hold on to the hope. But I think for the most part, at the least, he's slowed down on his drinking, or hopefully has quit completely. But things are a lot different now. You know, we've had conversations and we've grown closer together, and I'm thankful for that, because now I get to come on here and I get to talk to you guys and I get to tell you how I healed, and I get to help people, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. I can see the abuse cycle now. Like, I have like a sixth sense for it when someone's in an abusive cycle, so I get to help people in that way. I just get to do things that I never thought I'd be able to do, and I have this belief in myself because of the strength that healing from this stuff has caused me, you know? Like, there is a positive outlook to everything if you look at it hard enough. Some people will call that pessimistic optimism, but it's how I survived. I would not have survived if I just didn't look at the bright side all the time. I have to look at the bright side, because if I look at the dark side will literally consume me. Doesn't mean don't feel your feelings, because I absolutely do, and I've cried, and I've had panic attacks, and I've been in the trenches, you know? I've been at the edge of a blade. I've been where I'm about to drive my car off my cliff. I've been where I've tried to overdose. I've tried to kill myself multiple times. And I would still be trying to do that if I didn't have some kind of pessimistic optimism. I like to say that I shoot rainbows out of my ass, okay? And it's true. It's how I survived all that shit, because if I didn't daydream all the time, if I didn't have this sunshiny thing about me, I would be dead right now. I genuinely mean that. So yeah, if you're wondering how the fuck I made it through, pessimistic optimism, whatever, everything happens for a reason type bullshit, and believing in something higher than me. That's how I made it.